What's up, guys? Tara here from Destructoid, and I'm with our producer, Zac.
How's it going?
And today we're talking about Enemy Front. This is the new game from Stuart Black, whose name you might recognize from Black, the video game, named after Stuart Black. I'm assuming. I don't know, actually.
Or just the absence of all things.
Yes, also that. He also did Bodycount last year, which is something that we're never going to talk about again after this very moment. But he's got a new game coming out. It's called Enemy Front. It's a World War II shooter, and this is kind of his attempt, I think, to revitalize the genre that hasn't been touched in a while.
I think the last World War II shooter we saw was Call of Duty World at War.
Yeah.
And that was, 5 years ago?
They had that, and then Brothers in Arms.
Oh yeah, Brothers in Arms, yeah.
But since then, there hasn't been a lot, and so he's kind of trying to bring it back a little bit, and he's doing that in two main ways. One is by introducing a lot of customization into the game, which I'm going to talk about in a few seconds. And another one is just bringing the focus back on the main character, the protagonist. You are a badass, basically. You are Clint Eastwood in every 70s film ever made. So he's trying to kind of stray away from the whole Call of Duty and modern shooter idea of having, just like a faceless grunt in an army of thousands.
Right.
And so he really wants you to kind of feel powerful. And so they have a pretty thin story to the game. It's not really a huge emphasis.
At least in what we saw.
Yeah. You start off in France, you uncover some documents that lead you down this big trail of intrigue, and you kind of go all around Europe. We explored a couple areas of the game. Evacuation of Dunkirk was one of the levels. I think that happens about halfway through the game. Very war-torn land. And
it is during the war.
Yes, it is during the war, thank you. And we also went to the Rescue in the Owl Mountains level, which is kind of the site of a plane crash, I think, in a jungle type area. The game is mission based, so it does have, linear style missions. But the interesting thing about it is that they open the levels up just slightly enough to give you the chance to be able to play them in whatever style of play you want, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we were talking, and he was like, one of the things I hate about modern first-person shooters is when a game forces you to do a stealth level, or it forces you to do a sniper level. He was saying that if you want to play as a sniper, then you can snipe in most places.
Yeah.
Or if you want to play sneaking around, then there are ways that you can kind of progress through the levels while being stealthy and taking guys out from behind.
Yeah, and you don't see that in a lot of games these days. And one thing that I thought was even more interesting is that they've completely eliminated auto lock. So that's
at least in the build that we saw.
Yeah, and I asked him about it, and it seemed like he was kind of wary about putting in, he might still make it an option in the menu, but he sort of wanted to. That was one mainstay of the first-person shooter genre that he just kind of wanted out of there. But I wouldn't say it makes the game any more difficult. If anything, it adds a little bit of a learning curve, but that's it.
Yeah, it looked like it felt pretty tight for the most part. We didn't actually get to go hands-on with it, but he was played through a couple levels. And being able to turn off auto lock, or actually being default with auto lock off, kind of brings up the customization of the game. They want to make the difficulty levels super customizable, right?
Yeah, well, so they've got easy, medium, and difficult, and then they've got this other system called Hope, Honor, and Glory, which doesn't really affect your difficulty, it just affects kind of the look of the game for you. So if you play on Glory, it completely eliminates the HUD. There's nothing at all on screen. Typically, there's a little mini-map there, but that's about it. If you play on Hope, you get health regeneration, which is cool, and then if you play on Honor, you just get health packs or something, which you can find around.
Yeah. So I guess rather than appeal to just one specific type of gamer, maybe console gamers who are used to health regen in games, he said, why not make options for everyone?
Yeah, and it seems like they're really emphasizing kind of heat of the moment gameplay. He wants people to not really be taken out of the experience while they're in it, and so they've got no menu, basically. There's no weapons menu or anything like that. You get 2 slots for a weapon, and then you have an additional backup Colt 45 pistol that has unlimited ammo, so you're never without anything completely. But they've put a good emphasis on rare and authentic weapons, particularly. So they've got the Lanchester SMG I saw in there. They've also got the MG42, which is a huge thing. And what's cool about that is that when you turn around or fire, you can actually feel the weight of the weapon on you. So when you're carrying the MG, it takes a lot longer to turn around 90 degrees than it would if you were carrying an SMG.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making a 100% authentic, realistic World War II shooter, right? It's still very much a first-person shooter video game, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely a huge. It's clear that his number one goal here is to have everybody like this game and be able to enjoy it regardless of how they enjoy shooters.
Should be everyone's goal.
Yeah, so the gameplay is like over the top, you know, the graphics and everything. Even down to the style of the game has almost like a slight comic book feel to it, to where it's like gritty and realistic, but not so much so that it's boring.
Right. There was so it's a CryEngine 3 game, right?
So destructible environments, totally. Also.
Yeah. We were shooting some guy who was hiding behind a fence, and like parts of the fence would blow up. Not completely destructible environments, but some parts of them. And the sky has this kind of all the light is a little bit diffused, and there's this kind of film grain that is over everything that I really liked.
Yeah, it does remind me of like old World War II art or something. If you Google it, you'll see what I'm talking about. One thing that we didn't see in our little demo was vehicles, which are apparently a big part of the game. He said they were going to be jeeps, trucks, motorbikes, tanks. And I know they have multiplayer section, which they're staying pretty quiet on for now, but I do know that you're going to have upgradable vehicles in that section. So that sounds very exciting.
Interesting.
Yes.
It was very much a work in progress build. I think that they're gearing up for a big showing at E3, so we'll know a lot more about what the final game is like there. You know, some of the stuff that we saw a couple days ago was certainly incomplete.
Yeah, they said it was pre-alpha. So there were some bug issues, but I would expect to see that in any game at this point in its cycle. But yeah, that's Enemy Front. That is coming out this October, I believe, tentatively for Xbox, PS3, and PC. This is by City Interactive. They're also doing Sniper Ghost Warrior 2. If you haven't seen that video, we've got one up of it too.
We certainly do. And yeah, it's certainly been a while since I played a World War II shooter, and it was good to see those old weapons again. You know, of course, you've got the M1 Garand and the Thompson, and man, it's been a while. You know, World War II shooters certainly got stale for a while there when the market got super oversaturated.
Yeah, and then they just kind of fell off. I don't think anybody attempted that genre for a while.
No, but actually Jim Sterling just wrote up a thing like, where did all the World War II shooters go?
Yeah, funny about that.
So now one's coming back.
We haven't gotten to actually play it or anything yet. That will hopefully be coming soon, maybe at E3.
It'll definitely happen at E3.
So subscribe to this channel, make sure you're watching, so you can find all of our coverage for this and other awesome games. And thanks for watching.
See you guys later.